Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, I wanted to get this out pretty early for you guys, so I apologize if my voice isn't quite as clear. Still kind of got that morning voice, but what I wanted to tell you guys is the KC Cup second stage for February 2020 has arrived, and I wanted to share with you guys the tier list for decks going into the KC Cup. You will be expecting to see, why you will be expecting to see it, or should be expecting to see it, and how to counter them as well. So, first and foremost, we are actually going to start at the bottom of the tier list with a non-tiered deck. So we're going to go over to top decks. By the way, if you do not know what this website is, it is duellinksmeta.com. It is insanely useful. If you don't know about it, I would highly recommend using it. If you have any interest at getting better at the game, look at it. Check it out. Real good. So the deck that I wanted to show you guys real quick is ninjas. Why ninjas and not something else? Because ninjas are new, and so a lot of people will probably be running it. While it's not exactly the best, a lot of people will be running it, and this is what most people are using, right? They're using my monster cards, right? Which this is a really good skill for any decks that want to have a level 4 or lower monster in their starting hand, right? Because what it does, if your deck has 6 or more level 4 or lower monsters with different names, you will have a better chance of having a level 4 or lower monster in your starting hand, right? So basically what it does is you play a whole bunch of level 4s searching for that Hanzo. If you grab up the Hanzo, you're able to get a lot of other, or you're basically able to play the rest of the deck out pretty easily because Hanzo is your search card, right? So if you're playing against ninjas, first and foremost, a lot of times they do have a lot of artifact Lancias. They do have those, those very important cards there, right? But Hanzo is their main search. If you can stop Hanzo, that's pretty good. Also, if they have a set spell or trap card, if you get rid of it in any way, it will basically destroy the unit that it summons, right? Now what the trap cards do, in particular, is they each summon a different ninja from the deck, right? Super Transformation, what it does is it will summon or you target a ninja monster you control and a face-up monster your opponent controls, tribute them to special summon a dragon, a dinosaur, or a sea serpent type monster whose level is less than or equal to the combined original levels of the sent monsters, right? So normally what you're going to be doing is you're going to be summoning up the yellow dragon ninja, which is a dinosaur type monster, which can only be special summoned using the ninjutsu art of transformation from the deck. That's very important. You can only use it from the deck, so be aware of that as well. Now, once per turn, you can send a ninja monster and a ninjutsu art card from your hand and or face up on the field to the graveyard to target up to 2 spell or trap cards on the field to destroy them, right? So this guy, what he can do is destroy your spell or trap cards, right? Really good. That's why you're summoning that with the ninjutsu super transformation. However, if this card leaves the field, the connected monster is banished, right? So keep that in mind. If you want them to summon up a card, you can have them tribute off your monster and then just destroy this card, and then all of a sudden this card is gone, right? However, this is a quick effect, so you'll probably want to chain to the activation of this card your destruction, right? Now, Ninjutsu Art of Transformation. What does this card do? This card, you tribute a face-up ninja monster to special summon a beast, wing beast, or insect type of monster from your hand or deck. This time, you can use hand or deck, right? So you can also use it from the hand. Also, it's +3 the level. So you run a level 4, and you activate this card onto the level 4, and then you get a level 7 Black Dragon Ninja. Black Dragon Ninja is a beast type. What it can do is it can banish a ninja, or it can discard or send a ninjutsu art and a ninja to banish a card on the or banish a monster on the field, and if this card is banished, it will bring itself back, right? Which then you swing in for 2,800 again. You can banish the opponent's cards. You can banish your own card to bring itself back to attack again. Really good, really strong. Black Dragon Ninja, a lot of people are only running one. If you can get rid of that, perfect. Now you have Ninjutsu Art Notebook, which this card, you can send a ninja monster from your hand to the graveyard to set a ninjutsu art card, right? And the Hidden Village of Ninjutsu Arts is the field spell, which if a ninja monster is summoned on the field, you can target a ninja monster or a ninjutsu art card in your graveyard to add it to your hand, but you cannot activate cards or effects of cards with that name for the rest of the turn. So it's a search from the graveyard, right? So you can return things as well if a ninja is summoned, right? Including if it's summoned with a ninjutsu art or special summon in any other way, right? Then, if a ninja monster or ninjutsu art card you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can banish a ninja monster from your graveyard instead, right? You can only use each effect of ninjutsu or Hidden Village of Ninjutsu Arts once per turn. So, it does have a lot of protection, and you will see that as well. If this card is out on the field, the opponent's cards are going to be hard to deal with. So, the cards to deal with are Hidden Village of Ninjutsu Arts and either of the trap cards, right? If you destroy them, if you get rid of them before they can activate them, they have no out, right? They just have a 1800 beater, right? That's it. So that's ninjas. Let's hop back into the tier list, right? And I'm going to talk less about these decks because they aren't as new. The newest one is Cyber Dragon. But basically, Cyber Dragon, it is an OTK deck it is a go first OTK deck, which is rather interesting. But what it wants to do basically is it wants to start up with Core and Veer, summon Core and Veer, or Cyber Dragon if it's going second, right? You summon up Core, you summon up Veer next to it, right? And then you will grab up either the Cybernetic Overflow or the Cyber Load Fusion. Both of those will be used to great effect. Basically, the Overflow will pop cards on the field, and the Fusion will fusion summon for most of the time Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Because this card, what it can do is it can attack 3 times its 2100 beater. Really good at just, OTKing your opponent, right? And it pops cards pops spell or trap cards on the field when it is summoned. So, what it does is, what you can do is you can pop monsters, right, with your Cybernetic Overflow. Pop 2 monsters, something like that. Or you could use the Treacherous Trap Hole to pop monsters, right? You activate this, pop the monsters by banishing your Core and Veer. This, from the banish pile, you are going to send them back to the deck, right? And then you can grab up your Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Chimera Tech will then be able to send cards to the graveyard, which can be used for your Cybernetic Overflow once again. And then it can swing in 3 times, or if need be, it can go into a Cyber Twin Dragon, or if need be, it can also go into a Cyber End Dragon to get over things like Cocytus or anything else that has an insane amount of attack, right? And then it also has Chimera Tech Over Dragon, which is good sometimes, but not often. So don't worry too much about that. You can have it run Sealed Tombs. I see most people playing it with Cyber Style, with Zane Truesdale. Cyber Style with Cosmic Cyclone instead of multiple Cyber Dragons and Artifact Lancia. However, I would imagine that the best way to play it is with Artifact Lancia, just because so many things want to banish, and you can literally just fizzle like an Invocation, which is a very good card right now. You just fizzle it by activating or by chaining your Artifact Lancia. So, an insanely good card right now is Artifact Lancia, so keep an eye out for that. But overall, this is oftentimes played with Cosmic Cyclone and Cybernetic Fusion support, which makes you lose life points, which is really good for Cyber Style, which puts Proto Cyber Dragon onto the field, which allows you to more easily go for your Cyberload Fusion or your Cybernetic Overflow or something like that, right? So, oftentimes people are running only 2 Cyber Dragons, or sometimes even 1. Sometimes they're not running any Artifact Lancias. it kind of depends. My deck is 1 Cyber Dragon, the 3 Veer, the 3 Core, the 3 Cyberload Fusion, 3 Cybernetic Overflow, 3 Cosmic Cyclone, and a Cybernetic Fusion support. And then this is basically the same. And then I think I don't remember what the rest I have in the deck as tech cards. Oh, I think it's a Kiteroid and a Concentrating Current. So something like that will work as well. But basically what you want to do against this is wait for them to summon up their Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon and then pop that card. Or you can, if they set their cards, try and Cosmic Cyclone them if you can, just to get rid of them, to make them, or to force them to actually use them, right? But another thing is, like, if you Artifact Lancia, that's going to prevent them from activating their Cybernetic Overflow, getting them into the banish pile, which will also prevent them from using their Cyberload Fusion it will stop them from popping cards, but it won't necessarily stop them from using Cyberload Fusion. So that's how you kind of deal with that one. Hopping into the next deck, we are going to talk about Ritual Beasts. This one, very simple. Treacherous Trap Hole on the Elder and any of the other cards will basically instantly win you the duel. That being said, oh man, a lot of people are now running my monster cards with a 30-card deck, which is rather interesting, running more of the heavy back row kind of, outs to different cards like that, using heavy back row and stuff like that with my monster cards, so that they can just use, several of the, they can grab up Elder and some of these other cards to more easily summon into your fusions. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of 20-card decks as well running this. I think a lot of people were just going my monster cards and 30-card decks for the Shiranui matchup, which makes sense. But overall, I do think that it would be better just to run the 20-card deck, since there are so many people already running 30-card decks, trying to out that Shiranui. I don't think it's up to you to do that. But this deck, great way to beat it is Treacherous Trap Hole. Activate Treacherous Trap Hole, destroy the Elder and whatever other card was summoned. Boom, you done. Or basically, you just have something that is bigger than 2600, and you negate the Petal Fin in any way. You destroy it before it can activate. You negate the effect, something like that, right? Which will prevent it from returning a card to the hand. That's a good way as well. Petal Fin is basically the only way that they can get over things that are, higher than 2600. Also, they do have Herald of the Abyss most of the time, which will get rid of a Cocytus, so be aware of that as well. Overall, though, most people are running Cosmic Cyclone, but most people also aren't running a 30-card deck. Again, Artifact Lancia. Activated on the opponent's turn, your opponent cannot banish cards. Insanely good. You could also Artifact Lancia them. They get out 2 cards onto the field, and then you just Artifact Lancia them, and then they're stuck with 2 attack position monsters. And none of them are insanely high attack value. This is the highest one at 16. Actually, sorry, this one is at 18. So, there you go. That's how you beat the Ritual Beasts. Alright, moving on into Tier 2. Tier 2, we have Blackwings, which is another OTK deck. 1-turn kill. What does this deck do? Well, first of all, it is using Sealed Tomb, so it can seal you out of the graveyard. So if you're running something like Dark Lords or Shiranui or something like that, be aware that they do run Sealed Tomb. So if you see Ishizu Ishtar, you could be going up against Blackwings. However, so many people are using Sealed Tombs that it could be anything. But what this deck does is it wants to banish using Simoon. So if you see that there is going to be a Simoon, if you can try and just, like, if you have an Artifact Lancia, just drop it on the first turn so that they can't activate anything, right? like, say they play their Black Whirlwind and then they want to, like, as soon as you see the Black Whirlwind, just play your Artifact Lancia to prevent them from getting the double search. But a lot of times they'll try and open up with a Shiranui to return cards to the hand so that they can just go in for the lethal with the Black Whirlwind and like the whole setup, right? The best way to stop them is, again, to prevent them from searching with their Black Whirlwind. So if they only have one, get rid of it. If they have a Simoon in the hand, to try and prevent that from going off, or to banish the Black Whirlwind that comes up with a Cosmic Cyclone, something like that, right? Just prevent the search. It really does shut down the deck. Or what you can do is you can protect yourself from getting popped by Raikiri, or destroying Raikiri itself before it is able to get off its effect, right? Destroy them when they have only 2 monsters on the field, because most of them can summon themselves when there is another Blackwing on the field. So if, say, 2 of them are on the field, you flip up your Treacherous Trap Hole and pop both of them, then it's kind of done, right? Their turn is basically over at that point, because they're not going to be able to special summon anymore. And normally with Simoon, it's a normal summon into another normal summon, just to get that double search off with your Black Whirlwind. So there's that. That's kind of how to deal with that one. It's a lot of just like, hey, pop the 2 monsters, it's done. Or there are a lot of other ways to just, like, you can negate the effect of Raikiri. You can pop Raikiri before it is able to get its effect off, right? If they have an Obsidian Hawk Joe, then you can, pop Raikiri and then pop, a different card, right? And then swing into the Obsidian Hawk Joe before it is able to use its effect the next turn, or something like that, right? There's a lot of options, but be aware that they do have Blackbird Close, which is when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, you can send a Blackwing monster from you control to the graveyard to negate the activation, and you can activate it from the hand if there are 3 Blackwings on the field, I believe. Oh, no. If you control a Blackwing Synchro monster or a Blackwing Dragon, you can activate this card from your hand. There you go. So if they have a Synchro monster, they can just activate it from the hand. So be aware of that. It could just randomly come out from their hand if you activate a monster effect. So there you go. Sealed Tombs, Blackwings, how to deal with it. Pop the 2 cards as soon as you can, or get rid of the Black Whirlwind. There you go. Let's hop into the next one, which is Dark Lords. A lot of people know how to deal with Dark Lords, but just in case you don't, Compensation Dark Lords, if you can get rid of their limited to 1 Sanctified, they go down in power a lot, right? You can deal with Sanctified, they're a lot easier to deal with, right? They also do run Artifact Lancia as well. A lot of people run the Tez, so they do have some battle protection as well, so keep that in mind as well. They do run Amdusk to return things from the grave. So the main boss monster that you're going to be dealing with is Desire, which sends to the grave and does not destroy, so that doesn't activate a lot of effects. So keep that in mind as well. But basically what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to try to chain a negation to their monster activation on like a search or something like that, to prevent them from searching or anything like that. Sealed Tombs also destroys Dark Lords because they special summon specifically from the graveyard. But with that in mind, they can still search and use their negation from the graveyard, right? If Sanctified Dark Lord is in the graveyard, they can still return it to the deck under Sealed Tombs. They can't with a Necro Valley, but they can with Sealed Tombs. So keep that in mind as well. But what you're going to want to do is get rid of Desire by either sending it or destroying it or flipping it face down, right? If you flip it face down, Tez doesn't do anything, right? Tez only is for face-up Dark Lords, right? I believe it is if a Dark Lord monster you control would be destroyed, and if it's face down, you technically don't control it. That's how that works. So you flip the Desire face down with anything, and then pop it with some other card, and Tez won't activate. However, if you do swing into it, Tez will activate, and so you have to be aware of that, right? But they don't banish, so Artifact Lancia isn't going to have much of an effect on them. But be aware, Ukubak, if they have to normal summon it, can be, you just swing into it, and it can be lethal through that, so keep that in mind as well. That's basically how to beat it. Most people at this point should know how to beat Dark Lords. They've been around for so long. So hopefully I don't need to explain that one too much. Now, Shiranui is another newer deck, but most people are running a 30-card deck using That Grass Looks Greener and Spell Specialist. Spell Specialist just allows them to grab up those, the Grass That Looks Greener card, because you're running 5 different Spell or Trap cards. Now, this variant does not. This variant is still running the 30-card deck, but with Sealed Tombs. Sealed Tombs is insanely good right now. It's really good in the mirror matchup for the Shiranui. It's really good against Dark Lords. It's really good against Invokers. It's really good against so many different things because it prevents you from banishing from the graveyard, which so many decks currently want to do, right? Now, what this deck does is, a lot of times it is protecting itself from getting destroyed using its Sun Saga, or it will activate when it is destroyed using Gazuki, right? But it also has tons of graveyard effects. Spirit Master will pop a face-up monster, or a face-up card your opponent controls when it is banished. Samurai will add a Shiranui monster from your graveyard to your hand, I believe. Yeah. To add it to your hand when it is banished, right? Squire will draw a card to discard a card when it is banished. Solitaire will summon up a banished Shiranui monster. Then you have Spectral Sword Shade and Spectral Sword, which Spectral Sword can banish itself and another monster, or zombie type monster, to summon up a zombie type synchro monster, right? So it can synchro summon in the grave. So you got to keep that in mind. Anything that you can do to prevent graveyard play against Shiranui is great. Also, running more cards so that they can't mill more cards using That Grass Looks Greener is also really good, right? If you can run 25 cards, that's really good. If you can run 30 cards, that's also pretty good against Shiranui, right? However, with that in mind, anything that prevents banishing, like Artifact Lancia or anything like that, is also really good. If you see them activate Grass That Looks Greener, or That Grass Looks Greener, just chain your Artifact Lancia, because at that point, they won't be able to activate a Burgeoning Whirlflame if they do mill it, right? Burgeoning Whirlflame, jeez, I'm crying, I can't talk. Burgeoning Whirlflame, what it does is, you can banish 2 Fire-type monsters, which they're all Fire types, to add this card to your hand, right? So oftentimes what they'll do is they'll banish a Squire and a Spirit Master or something like that. So they can pop a card and then they can draw a card and discard the Burgeoning Whirlflame, because basically this is only useful in this deck as a card in the graveyard. It has no effect while it is set on the field, right? However, they do also play a lot of Floodgates, so keep that in mind as well. But basically the best way to get rid of them is to pop the Shogun Saga, or the Samurai Saga, or the Squire Saga, if you can. Also, what you're going to want to do is just prevent graveyard play. So, Sealed Tombs, Necro Valley, Artifact Lancia, anything like that will prevent them from playing and shut them down, right? So that's basically how it goes. That's basically what you're going to want to do. Then they have a few other options with like Gazuki and Nine-Tailed Fox and stuff like that. But overall, there's not a lot. Just run the... just try and prevent them from activating from the graveyard, or run extra cards to prevent That Grass Looks Greener. This used to be a very popular deck that you would see all over the place when it first started popping up. But now you're seeing less of it, so honestly... because other people have ways to prevent and kind of out this play, you're seeing a lot less of the 30-card Shiranui. And you will also see a lot of 20-card Shiranui, which doesn't play Grass That's Greener. But again, just kind of prevent the, the graveyard play. Try and pop these 2 cards when they come out, and then you're good. Let's hop into the next deck, which is, I believe, the first Tier 1 deck, which is Dark Magician. Now, what does Dark Magician do, and why is it Tier 1? How did it become Tier 1? Well, First of all, none of the cards are currently on the ban list that are specifically for Dark Magicians. Why is that? Well, because Dark Magicians weren't tiered until they got this card. Dark Magical Circle. Activate it, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, right? You can reveal a Dark Magician spell or trap card that specifically lists Dark Magician among them, or you can add a Dark Magician. Basically anything that is Dark Magician from it, right? So, you could search up Magician Navigation. You could search up another Dark Magical Circle. You could search up a Dark Magician with that, right? Or a Illusion Magic with that, right? So, a lot of cards that you can search. Also, it runs Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. Kaiku, what this card does is, you play it on the field, which you can search with your Magician Navigation, and it prevents banishing from the graveyard, right? Shutting down Shiranui, right? You activate your Magician Navigation, you bring up your Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, prevent the banishments. There you go. Shut down Shiranui. That's why Shiranui has dropped in popularity and why this deck is tier 1 currently, right? Now, Dark Magical Circle is if a Dark Magician is normal or special summoned on the field, any kind, right? This card included because its name becomes Dark Magician on the field or in the graveyard. Or just on the field, I think. Yeah, just on the field. So, if this one's special summoned, or any of the Dark Magicians are special or normal summoned, you can activate this card to banish a card. Really useful. Plus, it has an out with Eye of Timaeus and Dark Cavalry to basically anything, because Dark Cavalry does have negation as well. Plus, Magician Navigation, if you have a Dark Magician on the field, you can prevent an activation of a spell or trap card by negating it through your Magician Navigation. Plus, it plays Cosmic Cyclone, right? That's why this deck is tier 1. It has no cards that are currently banned, so it can run literally any banned cards or limited cards. So it runs Treacherous Trap Hole, right? So there you go. Now, with that being said, I think the best way to stop them from playing, basically, is to Cosmic Cyclone the Dark Magical Circle as soon as it is played, right? If you happen to go first against this deck, it is insanely good, right? You set your Cosmic Cyclone, you set all the other stuff, right? And then as soon as they activate their Dark Magical Circle, you Cosmic Cyclone it, preventing the search, preventing them from being able to banish a card if they summon a Dark Magician, preventing a lot of things, right? Now, Magician's Rod, if you can prevent the activation of this, it will prevent the search as well, which is also really good. And if you happen to see that they open up their Illusion Magic, or if they try to tribute for their Illusion Magic, this card adds the Dark Magician, adds Dark Magician to the hand, which is really good for Magician Navigation. Magician Navigation, you have to have a Dark Magician in the hand, right? So, preventing Magician's Rod from searching or anything like that, what you can do is you can pop it, or like chain a destruction to Illusion Magic to destroy the Magician's Rod, preventing them from searching, right? Something like that, pretty good. But if you can Cosmic Cyclone a Magician Navigation or a Dark Magical Circle, that's insanely good. That's the best way to get rid of that, but a lot of times they will have more plays on top of that, and they'll still be able to play kind of through that. Hopefully, you just Cosmic Cyclone the Dark Magical Circle as soon as it's activated, and you don't have to deal with that. Or what you can do is, you know, you do your turn, and then on their turn they go, and then on your turn they don't activate anything, and then you chain, like on their turn they activate their Magician Navigation, and you can chain your Artifact Lancia to it and prevent it from banishing anything, right? You can do that as well. I've done that a couple of times, and it did win me the duel a couple of times. And sometimes just banishing something on the field doesn't matter all that much. Anyway, the last deck is probably the one that will take it once again. It's Element Sabres. With the introduction of Invoked Purgatrio, this deck is absolutely insane. First of all, you can run a 25-card deck, adding in things like Fiendish Chain, Floodgate Trap Hole, Paleozoic Canadia, stuff like that, right? The core of the deck is Cosmic Cyclone with your Alistair the Invoker, right? Because what you can do is you can Cosmic Cyclone something to search up with your Sorcery Conduit, your Alistair the Invoker. Alistair, search for Invocation, and then go into any of the fusions. Cocytus, insanely good, limited to 1 for a reason, because it can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects, and it cannot be targeted with card effects, right? Now, with that being said, it can still be negated with Sanctified Dark Lord. So, Dark Lords do have an out to Cocytus pretty easily. You just negate it, and then you desire it, and it's gone. Boom. But it also has something like Caliga, which prevents a lot of monster activations. You can only activate 1 monster effect per turn, each player, and you can only attack with 1 monster each turn per player, right? Really good. But the core of this deck is Purgatrio, which is a fire type monster, which what it does is it pierces through the opponent's defense position monsters, and it boosts up by 200 for each card your opponent controls, and it's already 2,300 to begin with, plus with Palace of the Elemental Lords boosting it even higher, you're kind of screwed if this thing comes on to the field. However, if you can floodgate it, if you can destroy it in any way, it's really good. They do play multiple, so that's another thing. But the best way to stop this is to prevent the search with Alistair, to either prevent them from either drawing Alistair or prevent them from searching with Alistair by negating the effect of Alistair, or by negating the search with Sorcery Conduit by not playing any like back row into something like a Cosmic Cyclone so that they can't take out your back row as well. However, if you are playing a heavy back row deck, then another way is to chain your artifact Lancia to the Invocation, fizzling it out, making it not activate, right? So overall, that's how you do it. This deck is still insanely good. Molehiu is still super good because it flips a card face down and says, no, that card doesn't get to play, and I get graveyard fodder thanks to Palace of the Elemental Lords, right? Plus, it has negation with Lapula, which basically says, if you activate a spell or trap card, I'm going to negate it. You better have 2. And it's really, really annoying. Plus, they can play things like Fiendish Chain, which prevent a monster effect and keep it face up on the field, right? Preventing its attack, right? Or it can play Floodgate, which permanently flips down your card, right? So, this is an insanely good deck. It was hit by the ban list, and then they added a new card that was even better than before. And I think, honestly, it will get hit again because it probably will top this year's KC Cup, or this season's KC Cup, once again. So be aware of that. Be on the lookout for Element Sabres, especially if you're playing later into the KC Cup. This deck in particular is insanely strong right now, so be aware of that. Anyway, that's it for the tier list. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy this episode. I hope that this also did help you to understand what to look out for in the KC Cup. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did indeed enjoy, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.